Thank you so very much for being part of conference once again. My name is Joseph Kolawole Adebola. I'm your host today, and I wish to welcome you to yet another renewed Hope Global Town Hall virtual conference coming to you live from the United Kingdom. I wish to inform you that this conference is streaming live across social media and especially on Ben TV, courtesy of the CEO of the first African/Nigerian TV digital channel, Alastair Shoyode. Many thanks for your constant support and assistance. We appreciate that. Today, as usual, we have in our midst another VVIP from the administration of President Tinubu, who in the next 2 hours will be taking us through the activities, achievements, and challenges of the agency that she heads as the Director General and Chief Executive Officer. Our topic for today is driving transformation. Engineer Abisoye Coker-Odusote, that is the name of the DG and CEO, that will be talking about her bold initiatives in NIN registration reforms.
I want to say I'm honored to be on your show, and thank you very much for inviting me. Good afternoon to you, Mr. J.K. Adebola, and to all the wonderful Nigerians that have joined in on this call from far and near. I do appreciate you coming online. So thank you very, very much. For the purpose of awareness and just educating Nigerians generally, I'm just going to take you through what NIMC does. It's just a small history about NIMC, and then I can go on to answer your questions. NIMC was established by the Act 23 in the year 2007, which is roughly about 16 years ago. And the mandate for NIMC is to ensure that we issue and assign an 11-digit unique identifier number to Nigerians and legal residents of Nigeria. The second thing that we have been asked and mandated to do is to ensure that we create, we maintain, and operate a national database. Thirdly, we have also been told to issue a general multipurpose card to citizens of our dear beloved country. The fourth item on the list is to ensure that we integrate and harmonize all the ministries, departments, and agencies' database to create one central database, which will be warehoused by NIMC. The fifth item is to ensure that we carry out authentication and verification of data services. In line with Mr. President's 8-point agenda to ensure that he has a data-driven, sustainable economy, NIMC has put together a sub-5-point agenda for the next 3 years, 2023 to 2027. And it speaks to 5 different areas which will help us be able to achieve our mandates. The first one is to increase enrollment. The second one is harmonization and integration of data across all the ministries, departments, and agencies. The third one is the issuance of the GMPC and activation of it with the use of applets on the card. The fourth is access to services to ensure the inclusion of financial services through the government to people payments. The fifth one is to ensure that we increase public and private sector participation in using the NIN and adopting its use as the foundational data for identification. I'm just going to quickly take you through some sub-steps that speaks to this, just to summarize. So regarding increasing the enrollment, we've decided to work on increasing the NIDB capacity, the backend, because we had to look at some of the issues, and one of the issues we identified was how do we sort of half our processing time for the average Nigerian citizen. And in doing so, we had to identify the exact needs that we required, technical requirements in the backend. When we did our technical assessment, we realized that we needed to increase our capacity from 100 million to 250 million. Because as it stands today, we are about 200 million Nigerians roughly, but we have to increase that capacity because it's when we actually enroll all Nigerians, we want to ensure that we're actually 200. We might be more than 200. In other quarters, people do assume there were about 230 million. So we wanted to be on the safe side, and we went with 250 million. That would help us be able to ensure that once you apply for your NIN, you are able to get your name generated instantly. We are almost approaching the end of the 100 million capacity for the biometrics, which is the automated biometric identification system. And we had to say, okay, we need to look at what the issues are. Let's actually work on doing this. How do we improve the lives of citizens? How do we ensure that citizens can collect their NIN by a very seamless and effective process within a timely manner? And that's what our focus was. We're not happy that people have had to queue for their NIN locally in Nigeria, and so wanted to obviously start to tackle these issues. The NIDB upgrade will take us about roughly a minimum of 6 to 9 months, and so we're working hard on doing that. And you already know that what is worth doing is worth doing well. So we want to ensure that we're able to make sure that we give Nigerians the best service across board. Another thing that we want to do is also see how we can decongest the crowd that comes to our offices, and how we can also ensure that we decentralize our processes. So one of the key things that we're doing is that we're going to go to the wards. I'm not sure if you're aware of NIMC's capacity, but as it stands, we have state offices nationwide. We have presence in every single local government except 8 local governments where there were issues of insecurity at the time. And we also have a minimum of 21 to 34 co-location offices in each state. But one thing we also realized is that in some states, and I always like to use Borno as an example because Borno has a vast space of land. And sometimes it might take a citizen to go from the time duration from his house to the local government might be a minimum of 4 hours. So how do we sort of help this person? Because it's going to cost them quite a lot of money to get there. So we decided to obviously decentralize it to the wards so that we can go into the communities and be able to register Nigerians and issue them and assign a national identification number for them, which is extremely important. And I'll come to the uses and advantage of this NIN, because when NIMC first started, a lot of people did not take it seriously. Oh, Nigeria wants to issue an NIN. Okay, not a problem. And I think the only thing that sort of woke everyone up, at least some people, was when you realize that you are not going to be able to use your phone, your mobile network, if you don't have a NIN. And I think that sort of drove up our numbers, to almost 100 million at the time. But there are other uses for the NIN. And one of the key, most important uses for the NIN is about access to government services. I will speak to that under the sub 5 points agenda, item number 4. So we plan on creating more special centers, and we've also obviously tried to expand our reach. So I will speak to local and I'll also speak to diaspora. So locally, we've got front-end partners. So even though we're going to the wards, we're also going to give the front-end partners an opportunity to be able to expand their reach into the nooks and crannies of Nigeria so that people can definitely get registered. So I'll give you an example, like the riverine areas, we haven't really done a lot of registration there. So what we have done at the moment locally is a lot of urban region registration. So we're trying to ensure that we go into the rural area to ensure that people are registered, and also taking into consideration that there are a lot of people that have been marginalized. So you have women, you have children, you have the disabled, you even have people that are in prison. They deserve to have an NIN. So we're trying to ensure that we go out and get that done. We're also going to partner with the agencies, and that speaks to the harmonization and integration of data across all the MDAs. We're going to ensure that we partner with the Ministry of Health to make sure that we send the FEPs to all of their health centers, so that when a baby is born, they can register for a name. They can do the name registration right there on the spot at the hospital. We're also working with NPC, because they are also another foundational identity, and they focus on birth and death registrations. So we have worked together, and they have developed the ECRVS geospatial system, and they have integrated successfully into NIMC, so that we're able to now call up digital birth certificates, which will enable us to be able to register births in real time and also revoke death in real time. Regarding the FEPs locally, we've done a revalidation exercise. I'm sure that you were aware sometime last year I had to suspend them. And that's because when I got on board, I realized that there wasn't a clear process, a clear defined process. There was no framework or ground to guide the activities. And anybody that's going to represent NIMC as an extension of NIMC has to obviously reflect our core values and our principles. And we wanted to ensure that they follow everything that is our core value regarding how you treat customers, and following our processes, and ensuring that our due diligence is also done on them to make sure that we're able to pay them for whatever they're being owed for their services. Now, regarding the diaspora, I've had a few conversations. I don't know if you are aware that last month we had a conversation with Immigration and NIDCOM, with Diaspora UK. My directors were representing me on that call, and I thought that it was a very important conversation that needed to be had, to listen to the experiences of Nigerians in the diaspora. And there's also been a lot of talk. One of the things that struck a chord with me is expansion of our services in the diaspora. So, for example, there are areas in the UK where we're not present, and a lot of people have to travel quite a distance to go to London or go to Manchester to be able to do some registration. So we're looking at expanding in non-African countries and international and African countries also. We also got a request from China that we don't have any representative in China, so we're looking at seeing what we can get done for them. South Africa has also reached out to us on expanding our reach, which is what we're going to do. We also had maybe a few complaints here and there about maybe the services our service providers are providing in the UK. And so we've decided that to address these issues, we are going to obviously start a compliance audit exercise across board in the diaspora, so that we're able to ensure that Nigerians abroad are comfortable and are able to enroll with ease. One of the other things that we did was to set up a self-modification portal online, which is supposed to, why come into my center when you've already enrolled, and you can just do your modification online using technology. So we wanted to simplify that process for the average Nigerian. And we have had great success stories so far on it. And we've been responding in real time regarding if there are any little issues, but it's been very good reviews. And our Servicom department has been working very hard to ensure that whatever issues we have is being addressed. Like, we've had to expand our call center. So initially, our call center internally only had sitting for about 10 agents, which did not make any sense. So we had to expand to 40 so that people are able to respond as quickly as possible. And even that 40 is not enough, but we're definitely going to ensure that we decentralize that so that there's sort of support in every region that you're able to speak to and talk to about anything. Regarding the online modification, we also have online support. So our agents respond in real time now regarding the online modification to be able to address the issues, because they don't want a situation where you've logged off online, you're working on your application. They want you to be able to do get things done. One of the other things I wanted to bring up was to speak to you. Also, let's shed some light on some of the collaborations we've done. And it's one of these collaborations was what informed our online modification decision also. So the Nigerian Immigration Service through the Ministry of Interior partnered with us to ensure that they're able to integrate into our database for effective service delivery to Nigerians when it comes to the areas of issuance of passports or renewal of passports. And one of the key things that we have successfully achieved with them is that for you to either be able to get a passport issued to you, or for you to be able to renew your passport, if you want a passport issuance, you're going to have to use your NIN information. So what happens is once you input your NIN number, if you're having issues at the beginning, you then have to come back to NIMC to see what the issue is. But with the self-modification online, you might not need to come to my office. You might just be able to address your problems through use of that self-modification online. One of the other key things is speaking about authentication and verification of services. We already do that with the private sector, the banks and the telcos, and we're trying to expand our reach beyond that. And one of the key areas that we want to go to, one of our goals, is to ensure that every citizen is able to self-authenticate themselves in line with data protection policy. And that's something that we want to be able to do. The data does not belong to NIMC, it belongs to Nigeria because it's Nigeria's data. So we are just the warehouses of the data and the data supervisors, if you want to call us that. I wanted to also now speak further on the harmonization and integration. We've done successful integration with NYSC, and we have 20 working groups with other MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies. And one of those other working groups that is very key is our collaboration with the tax, FIRS on NIN data, NIN tax data. So we're going to harmonize with them. We're already in the process of doing that as we speak. We're also ensuring that with government programs that's been designed to sort of provide some support to the average Nigerian. So in the areas of student loan, we've NELFund has integrated with us, and anybody that wants to apply for a student loan will need to have their NIN available for the application. One of the beauties of the NIN is that whatever you do with it, you're able to see an end-to-end tracking of that service that has been provided. So I will now speak to the issuance of the JMPC. But before I do that, there's so much to talk about. So I just wanted to do a quick, overall, there's quite a lot. And we've done so much. And I don't know if you were aware that yesterday was my first media parley, because I have been too busy to actually have a sit down with the media. And there's been all sorts of very, very false information being put out there, but I will also address a couple as we go along. One of the key things we're also working on is the census. We're doing it jointly with NPC. And what we want to do is when they go out to carry out their duties in terms of counting the number of persons in the house, we would be able to generate a NIN on the spot for anyone that is not that doesn't have a NIN. Okay, so it's sort of, the partnership is basically for us to be able to drive our enrollment numbers up, and it's something that we're working on. Another thing we're working on is this Poorest of the Poor palliative initiative, where we want to do an identity verification of those that are on the list, on the social register, just to ensure that the monies are being disbursed to the people that deserve that money. So that's the area of collaboration. And we started last week. We kicked off a pilot in Kwara. And we started with the governor of Kwara's ward. where we went, and the turnout was a good turnout. And people came out to come and do their registration. We just want to give people the opportunity to also be captured, captured on government's G2P programs. If they're not a beneficiary for this particular one, they can be a beneficiary of another one. There has to be, and I guess that you understand the importance of data, because data is very key. For government to be able to make any sort of informed decisions, they need reliable data. And that's what we're working on. Because if you don't have data, you're not able to do anything. You're not able to make informed decisions. And sometimes you can also make mistakes and take the wrong steps. So we're trying to ensure that this government has that required data, enough data for them to be able to make the right decisions to improve the lives of the Nigerian people. And that's very, very important to me. It's something that I'm very passionate about as an individual. And so I'm actually thankful to Mr. President for giving me the opportunity to be able to serve my people in this capacity as the DG, CEO of the National Identity Management Commission. I'm going to speak about the issuance of the GMPC, the cards. So initially, we had several partnerships, from my predecessor's time. And they had partnerships with Visa, they had partnerships with MasterCard, and there was like so much going on with all the partnerships. It fell apart, etc. So I went to the drawing board, and I called the director of cards. When he had done his presentation to me, I said, okay, we need to find a way forward. How do we sort of ensure that Nigerians get their cards? How is it that Nigerians don't, you need to give them the options to be able to have their own cards, And we sat down and we discussed, and we also then obviously reviewed all the proposals that were submitted. And there was one that actually, caught our eye. It was Afrigo. Afrigo is a subsidiary of NIMC. I don't know if you're aware of NIMC. Is the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System. It's a subsidiary of NIMC, and what that means is that it's a local version of MasterCard and Visa, and that pricked my conscience, and I'm going to tell you why. I think it's about time we start doing things for ourselves as Nigerians. I think that it is important to support local content, and because of that, we decided to go with Afrigo so that we can obviously promote the important use of local content. So I'm going to just explain a couple of things relating to the cards. It's a Nigerian card scheme powered by Afrigo, which is an indigenous subsidiary of the NIMC. The old card program was a foreign card, which was MasterCard and Visa card. The card has debit and prepaid features. The prepaid speaks to the unbanked. The debit speaks to the banked. We're in partnerships with the banks to ensure that we're able to print out the cards the same way the banks will print out. The same way the banks would print out their ATM cards for you in a timely manner. Within 24 hours, you get your ATM card now. We decided to adopt the same approach, so that when it comes to printing of your cards, max 48 hours you've gotten it. You shouldn't even get to 48 hours at all. So that's exactly what we want to do. And this card is not restricted to one bank. It's open to all banks. So we're in partnership with all the banks, so that one bank, it's not that there's monopoly with one bank. It's open to all the banks, so you can easily access these cards. Now, the cards there are different types. It's one card, but there are different options for you. Now, let's say you live in the UK and you don't want a physical card. You can download your e-ID card. Okay? And you can use it just like the way you use your Revolut card. That's the card that has the financial inclusion services on it. And if you want your physical card, if you order it, we'll ensure that we deliver it. I'm sure that you're very aware of how effective the Minister of Interior is when it comes to making sure that you get your passports abroad as quickly as possible. So we're also working on ensuring that diasporas are not left out and they're carried along in the card scheme that we're offering. Every Nigerian matters to me, and every Nigerian matters to Mr. President. So people abroad must be able to have those services available to them, also in a seamless manner. Regarding the card that we have, you can request for it through multiple online channels. We're also going to ensure that the requisition portal will be up and running soon, and we're hoping to launch these cards or allow you to be able to order your cards on or before the end of August. So we're working overtime to make sure that all the processes are put in place to ensure that Nigerians are able to get their cards. And once you start getting your cards, then you don't have any problem. Now, please note that these cards are not for free, because our mandate says that we should ensure that we issue a free NIN number to Nigerians in Nigeria. But the cards you would have to pay for. The only people that would most likely not pay for their cards will be the unbanked, with whom the prepaid card has been designed for, especially. And then if you just want your plain identity card, you can also request for that. Now, I want to explain that the card has several applets and also has the options for scalability on it. What you do with the card is you can have access, you can use it for travel locally. We're also speaking to, we've started some meetings with ECOWAS on regional integration for travel. So I'm sure that once we come to an agreement on that, it will be, that would also be added onto the card, so that you can travel locally and regionally. But for now, locally, because there are a lot of Nigerians. I'm also speaking to Nigerian Immigration Service on that because of the travel area, since they are the ones that control the travel, the air travel, and also and they have the right to also issue any travel documentation. So we're all in partnership with them on this, but we're also ensuring that we ensure that the Data Protection Act and policies and procedures are duly complied to and adhered to. Data Protection Commission is also a part of this discussion also. So what we're doing is making sure that we work very well with our sister agencies relating to areas that are key to them, and also ensuring that we're driving the technological transformation of Nigeria through the use of data. We want to be able to get to the point where we don't have multiple IDs across board. We want to be able to say that you've got one single unique identification number. And there's a little bit of confusion. A lot of the times people think that BVN is actually a federal government unique identification number. It's not, it's private sector. And as NIMC stands, NIMC is the only, has the largest data in Africa, not just Nigeria at the moment. So we've actually come a long way, and we've done quite a bit. As of yesterday, we had registered a total of 107,338,044 Nigerians. As of yesterday morning, this was as of 11:30 a.m. yesterday morning. So the numbers are growing by the second. Regarding the card, it's able to support various applets and wallets. And so in the instance where we're dealing with the federal government program, where the government has come up with several social investment programs, this card will be able to support those programs effectively. And it also helps you in terms of accountability. So rather than giving somebody cash, you can definitely pay onto their wallets. If they are unbanked, you create a wallet for them, and it goes there, and you're able to track and see that this money has gone in, and you're able to also do your proper reconciliation at the end of the month on that. I think what's also very important is, ensuring that there's accountability and transparency across board in whatever the federal government is doing, and we are ensuring that whatever we're involved in, we reflect those values. I think I've spoken about the item number 4 of my NIMC 5-point agenda for the next 3 years. There's so much to speak on, but I am going to go and speak on the increase in public and private sector participation in using the name. Now, I don't know if you are aware that NIMC is the country signer, the only country signer for the public key infrastructure, which is basically what is used to be able to print your passport, which is what is used to be able to print your ID cards. So we're going to, obviously intensify all efforts aggressively to ensure that we set this key area of NIMC up. We have the infrastructure internally, the servers, we have all the licenses with us and everything, but we want to ensure that this is a good area for us to encourage, the adoption of this PKI, another area of local content. And I'll tell you why. Because as it stands, the banks and a lot of the other technology-driven organizations use the PKI, public infrastructure, from other countries. So we need to ensure that there's adoption locally. That's one thing that we're working on. We're also trying to ensure that we have a lot of stakeholder engagement sessions, which we have been doing with our sisters MDAs, to ensure that they understand the importance of the name and the value that the name brings. So, for instance, if you want to give 10,000 farmers fertilizers, we should be able to identify who these fertilizers are, who these people are. And we also need to be able to ensure that there are no ghost beneficiaries on that list. So the name is definitely going to be used to combat a lot of fraud, especially in the banking sector and the telco sector, and I'll speak to the telco sector in particular. So when it comes to NIN, comes to SIM cards, a lot of people have multiple SIM cards. Some unintentionally, because when you come to Nigeria on holiday, you have your SIM card. When you are leaving, you do not even know where that SIM card is. When you go back the next time, you gotta get another SIM card. So what we're trying to do is to ensure that, and then there are other people that now abuse the situation. So for example, kidnappings, they get SIM cards that are not registered. You're not able to trace them. So we need to start being able to say, okay, how do we tie their identity to the SIM cards, which is very important. So there's the NIN SIM linkage, which we're working on. And then we've also set up a joint task force with the Counter-Terrorism Center of the Office of the National Security Advisor, ONSA, and also jointly with NCC. So the three of us are working on ensuring that we tackle all of these same issues. So, and we're trying to address those same problems using the NIN. So there's a lot of value the NIN would bring in terms of enhancing service delivery across the country, and it is quite a lot. Another thing I wanted to speak to was the authentication and verification of data. So right now we have done quite a bit where people are able to just put in the NIN and auto-populates the form. So what you don't want is for a Nigerian to be going to different places and they keep asking you for the same information over and over and over and over again. So once NIMC has your information, when you go to wherever you're going to, you just pop in your NIN and all the necessary information needed by that particular service you're going for will definitely come up, you know. So we're ensuring that we're working with the Data Protection Commission. They are also, you know, doing very well. We've had several workshops with them over the, you know, over the past years, and I was very, very happy that the Data Protection Act 2023 was signed into law. I think that is extremely important, and also NIMC, what we also intend to do is create a lot of media awareness and try to educate people from the grassroots up, from the bottoms up approach, not the top down. I think the reason why is so that people are not taken advantage of. So there has been a lot of, I'm going to speak to the security concerns now. There's been a lot of stories about, oh, is there data breach with NIMC? Is our data safe? And I want Nigerians to be rest assured that your data is safe with NIMC. What we have is that we have people on a smaller scale who have sort of gone to create a similar software, but it's not connected to our database at all. So all they are doing is they are scamming Nigerians. And I always try to remind people that, you know, sometimes when you go outside the passport office in Nigeria, you see so many people around. I can help you, I can help you, I can help you. If you answer any of them and you don't go in to see the immigration officer, you can be scammed. Outside NIMC offices, we have similar instances in Nigeria. So I will give you one particular incident that sort of tied NPC to NIMC to ensure that we're integrated. One of my visits to one of our annex offices in Abuja, there was an elderly lady. She was probably in her late 50s, maybe around 59. And she said she wanted to change her date of birth. And I was wondering, why do you want to change your date of birth? Don't you know your date? And what she said to me was that, oh, she lied about her date of birth when she was younger. But now that she's older, she's born again, she has repented, and she's no longer working. So she wants a real date of birth. So no matter how flimsy her excuse sounds, she still has a valid reason to do what she wants to do in her own understanding, which I get. But there was a gentleman that was beside her, and that's who she reported to me. And we made sure we arrested that man that day, and I will tell you why. He's a newspaper vendor who stands outside the office, and he has his clique right there. And do you know what they do? For date of birth, all the documents that we request for, they generate the fake version right there. And he had charged that woman on maybe 2 or 3 occasions, and the total amount he had collected from her was about 120,000 naira. So he had fleeced her and scammed her of that amount. So I realized that was a huge problem. So I spoke to the chairman of NPC and I said, you know what, we need to be able to call up the digital birth certificate from our portal. So that loophole where somebody can feel that, oh, because they are printing fake birth certificates there, we will not accept that anymore. We will make sure that we call it up through our own portal and we're able to view it online, so that that's what we would really, really accept, you know. And if anybody uploads their birth certificates online, we will confirm with NPC first before we proceed and approving the application. So that's just a quick summary to let you understand that we're actually doing quite a lot of things. And we also have credit facility has integrated into our database, and we have security agencies integrated into our database, and so they're able to verify. They have the highest level of verification from our end, which is the biometric verification. So that access level is only security agencies that can have that at the moment. But we're trying to ensure that commercially, we should get to the point where if you pop in your name, you are able to have your form auto-populated immediately. And then whatever second level of information that is going to be asked from the public, well then from the service that you're seeking, you would then be able to input that. So that would then have your processing time. I just wanted to give you just a quick brief. I think I've been talking for quite a while now. So I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to stop right there. You asked me a question on the features of the card. I think I spoke at length to that. And you also asked how, what the difference was. I think the key difference is promoting local content using Afrigo as opposed to using the other switch partners. And also the fact that you have options and you have a lot of applets on these cards. And there's also the opportunity for you to either have a digital version or you have a physical card. So all of these have been thought through and put together to make sure that we provide the best options for Nigerians. Thank you.
The Nigerians in Russia. I heard you presenting about all the countries that need this NIN, but you did not remember Russia. I don't know what Russia did wrong. And I remember Russia itself already sent a letter to your directory to look into how we can get it, because people are seriously suffering about that.
What steps are taken to ensure that the security and the confidentiality of the data collected for the national identity and national identity card, especially in light of increasing concerns about data privacy and cyber threats in Nigeria? Thank you.
Are you introducing 3 different cards or just one card? Then I'm speaking on behalf of Nigerians in diaspora and Nigerians in Nigeria as well. How do we go about getting these cards, if whichever number they are? And then when should we be expecting to be able to process and actually physically get these cards?
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the questions that have been asked. I'm just going to quickly speak to I believe it's Mr. Engineer Olabode George. Is that his name? Am I correct? From Russia?
Yes.
We haven't forgotten Russia. I just used China as an example. The funny thing was I was actually going to mention, sorry, I just realized my video was wrong. I was actually going to mention Russia, but I just used that as a generic thing. I also wanted to explain to you that we have partnered with Online Integrated Solutions. I am sure that in the UK, you know that they're the ones that normally do the visa processing. And also the appointments in terms of booking to get your passports at passport office. So we wanted to also make sure that it was easier to be able to add NIN to what they do. And they have presence in 27 countries. And they're expanding also to another additional 12 countries this year. Also, we're giving other service providers the opportunity to apply for those locations. So we will definitely ensure that before the summer runs out, we're hoping that by July, August, we'll have, we'll be able to expand in Russia and China and the other locations. And thank you very much, Ma, for the questions that you asked. I also I forgot to mention that part of the marginalized groups that we have are the elderly. A lot of people like to think that because somebody is older that you don't deserve you don't deserve to be carried along, but you deserve to be carried along. And thank you for the brilliant question that you asked. Yes, NIMC remains committed to protecting cardholders' data in line with international standards on data security, and we ensure that there are several layers to this GMPC to ensure protection and also advanced encryption of data transmitted to third parties for the purpose of this card. Regular audits of the third-party companies will definitely ensue to ensure compliance with data protection, such as not storing data beyond specified periods. And also the card delivery process meets all the known card issuers international standards. So I just wanted to, clarify that. And also thank you, Ma, for the other question that was asked by the other lady. I'm going to ask Kat to take your second question, but the first question that you asked was in relation to, do we have 3 cards? No, we do not have 3 cards. We have 1 card. It's the same look and feel for whichever option you select. So we have multiple options, but we only have 1 card, look and feel. I just wanted to put that out there. I'm going to ask Dr. Peter Iwegu, who is the director of the cards services, cards management services department in NIMC, to please answer the questions relating to the last question related to cards. Thank you, Dr. Peter.
Thank you very much, my DG. So I will just take the 3-in-1 question that the lady asked. First, I think you've answered the one that we're issuing 1 card program with multiple use cases for in different brands. So it's 1 simple card program. What differentiates them, the use cases, what you can use with the cards. Maybe you just want to do a photo ID. You see the same card, you're only going to do any photo identification. You want to do financial transactions to be financially included, that card will be enabled for that purpose. It's also for social inclusion, for social intervention. If also that card is to be used for social intervention, it's also be enabled. With a single card program that deal with different multiple use cases. Now, the second question is about when and how do we access this card. My DG has explained earlier on that we have created multiple channels for you to be able to access this card. We are taking into account the experience we have had in the past, whereby the access to this card was restricted to only 1 location. Government was to do everything from start to finish. Now we are making it possible for you to be able to access this card program through multiple channels. You can do a self-enrollment to request for it. You can go to any of the bank branches across the country to request for it. You can also go to our own NIMC location to request for it. And in all these cases, we indicate the kind of card you want, whether it's a debit card, a credit, a prepaid card, or the location, how you want to be picked up. We're also making an arrangement so that even Nigerians in diaspora who request for this card and need the card to be delivered to them, we are working out an arrangement to fast-track the process of delivering it to them at their choosing location through an arrangement. Of course, you know that if you want premium service like that, obviously you must pay for that premium service to be delivered to you. Otherwise, you have to wait until when you get to the country here, you can pick up the cards. Now, in terms of uses, I think my DG has already spoken to the uses, the feature that they asked before that. What we're doing here is to provide a 3-in-1 card. We're providing identity, we are money with you, we're providing access to government services in 1 card. So that's where people got the impression that it's 3 cards. They are not 3 cards. They're just 1 single card with 3 use cases that we are coming up with. Our card allows us to define different multiple use cases. The capacity of this card is to accommodate almost 32 use cases, 32 wallets. We're hoping that tomorrow we'll have a point where we can have conversations with the other sister agencies like INEC, all different authorities, where this card, as the act indicates, will serve that general multipurpose card for government services and even also the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. I don't know if special guest of honor would like to add to that, ma'am.
I think that Peter has, has clarified that, and I think it's also important for people to note that we didn't want a situation where we would go and be printing a card with just 1 use case. We just wanted to give you 1 card that has several use cases that have been well thought out. And Nigerians are able to definitely have this card. Now, it's also optional. You might decide, you know what, I don't want a physical card. I'm tech savvy. Let me download my digital AID. And so that's also fine. It's just to sort of, ensure that, I'm sure that if you look at the whole process, and if you look at the direction in which the world is going, identity is very key right now, especially if you look at the SDG goals, 2030, you can see that identity is a key focus. And the world has definitely zoned in on Africa. From day one, they've always realized the potential of Africa, but even more so now. So there's so much work to be done. Nigeria has set the pace for digital ID in Africa. And we actually have a digital identity conference we're attending in the ID for Africa conference in South Africa in Cape Town in exactly 2 weeks from now. And where we will be speaking more on this to several other African countries that are available, and also saying how best we can also allow them, for those that haven't set up, come to Nigeria for a study tour, and we're able to take them through how we started and where we are now and the way we're going, and to also assist them set up their own equivalent within their own established institutions. With that said, we're also with OSIA's chairman for the South Global, which covers Africa and Asia. And they also are the European equivalent for the leading European compliance standard organization. So I just wanted to just put that out there. NIMC remains committed, and we want to ensure that Nigerians do not get scammed. And we will be creating a lot of media awareness to make sure that you don't get scammed, because some people might go and apply in a scammer's in a very illegal internet cafe or illegal business center, and they will think that data is coming to us. It's not. It's just sitting on their own server, and they're just collecting your data. It's going nowhere. So I just wanted to put that out there. But please be rest assured that we will continue to support and make sure that we improve on our service delivery locally and in the diaspora. So I want to ensure Nigerians in the diaspora to please have a lot of faith in NIMC, and we will definitely make sure that we provide all the necessary support and ease for you to be able to register and enroll for your NIN. Thank you very much, my wonderful host, and thank you for inviting me onto your program. And I want to say thank you to the wonderful guests that have been patient and have listened to us. And thank you so much for, I can see some of the comments. Thank you so much for supporting us. And we want to continue to make sure that we reflect a positive value of Nigeria, not just in Nigerians abroad and locally, but also to the international organization. We want to also ensure that they know that there are positive things being done in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Madam DG, that the so-called NIMC that we registered about 2 or 3 years ago, 2 years ago, now we have not gotten the card. I was in Nigeria last year to ask for this card, nowhere to be found. There's no card yet. I asked all my people, there's no card. Now, you are coming out with a new card that we're going to get. How possible that we in Nigeria can get this card?
Please, the first thing is that tell me whether my NIN number is still valid or expired, so I know what I'm doing.
What is the capital financial infrastructure that the NIMC is or are working on? Because I know you guys have a lot on your plate. So what is the most significant? So that's why I'm using the word capital. That's the most capital intensive financial infrastructure you guys are putting in place in the NIMC.
My children that did it newly, also we spent a whole whopping 1 month waiting for validation. So I just want to complain about what is the need for this delay. Why this delay? Because like for our own that we have even done for almost 8 years back, we were told that it's not validated. I don't really know what is this validation. If we have enrolled and we have the slip and we still have to go and make validation, what is the validation? Another question I want to quickly say is that even now, to even also there is a platform where you can make correction of maybe there is a mistake in your name or this thing. On that same platform, it is unable for us to make payment. There is a payment associated to maybe make correction. We are unable to make payment on this platform. Director, thank you very much for the opportunity to respond to those very insightful questions. First question is the questioner wants to know how and when can we get these cards. Like I explained earlier on, the card is designed for you to get it on request. You request for the card, and there are 3 platforms with which you can request for this card. You can do it self. You could go to the online portal, make the request. You could walk to any of the partner banks, branch of the banks, or our own location. And once you have made those requests, the card will deliver to you based on your choice, based on what you have selected. If you want to wait and come and pick it in any of those locations, we'll allow you to do that. If you also want us to use courier service to deliver it to you, we'll do that. So having said that, it means therefore that we have made provision for our Nigerians in diaspora to also be met by this, to meet their need. So you are in diaspora, you can log on online, request for the card, indicate how you want the card to be delivered, and also indicate the type of card you want. So that's one. Then the second question is talked about NIM. Your NIM does not expire. NIM is for life. Once you have gotten your NIM remains valid until death do you apart. What you notice in terms of expiration is that because the NIM has been used to provide value use cases for you. For example, on the card, it has been enabled for payment for financial services, and those services that you have been enabled is what expires. Those services require that you do some validation after a period of time. For instance, our card expires after 5 years for payment and financial inclusion. But the regular card is 2 years. And you know, the reason why it's expiring is because most of these security features that have been enabled to protect you on that card is renewed every 2 years or thereabout. So it is in the event of that they require you to renew that card. So the card does not expire. Your NIM does not expire. It's only your use case on the cards that expire. There's also an issue about why cards and NIM. I think you have also answered the question when you asked the question that in US, you have a social security number, but at the same time, you have a driver's license, international passport, or card. If you don't have any of those two, that's what we're also doing. In Nigeria today, we would issue you NIM. On the back of that NIM, you can get the international passport. On the back of that NIM, you can get your driver's license. On the back of that NIM, you can get a card if you don't have any of those two to be able to use for whatever you want to use it. And that's what we're simply doing. And I just want to just give you an insight that a gentleman in the US pointed something about the US a bit more advanced in terms of use of cards and identity in Nigeria today. 90% of transactions that are done in Nigeria are not powered by identity, but are not powered by any card, either credit or debit card. But in Nigeria, we do a lot of cash transactions. And so many Nigerians are looking for evidential card to identify themselves. So therefore, providing this card for the category of Nigeria who does not have international passport, who does not have driver's license is essential. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. Then you talked about capital infrastructure. What is the most capital infrastructure that we have? With the due permission of my DG, maybe DG may want to offer more explanation to us. We are a strongly technology-driven organization. Our back end is made up of very enterprise integrated technology systems that requires money and licenses for us to build it. One of the key ones is our ABIS, the automatic biometric identification system. It's huge. A lot of money is required for us to be able to put that infrastructure in place. Second, for capital infrastructure that was also key for us is that the devices we require to be able to capture Nigerians is huge. For us to open centers across the country requires a lot of infrastructure in that respect. If I bring it back to the card, one of the reasons why you said you were the fifth person talked about I've enrolled and I've not had the card. And they told me I'm going to get the card. One of the challenges we had there was that the infrastructure requirement to issue this card was quite enormous. And there were no funding to back it up. So now we have come to revise it to see how we can partner with the private sector to help us be able to sustain this card program. The reason why those cards, why you couldn't get your card that you wrote 2014, were because of those financial limitations that we could not meet the need of producing the card. Now we have revised this in a very sustainable manner. Then you talk about validation. For validation, I do understand the frustrations of you have enrolled, you want to use the tell that the card not need to be validated. What you also understand is like we provide a provisions for you, and I think it's about 5 years after that you need to do a revalidation of your card because most people, their biometric changes. So after 5 years, we are required to come back and do a revalidation to be sure that you are still what you are, and even alive. All those kind of things are required. The validation is required, but I don't think that's the kind of validation you're talking about. But if you have challenges in terms of your enrolled before the outcome and revalidate and whatever, it's part of the things that when the current DG resumes, she's made a lot of efforts and worked hard to eliminate all those bottlenecks to make life easier for people. Yet what she's doing right now is to give Nigerians the power to be able to do their own validation themselves. They don't have to come to our office. So I think that's, I just like to stop there so that in case my DG will have one or two things to add.
My question is, 2017, I've gone to Nigeria to get this NIN number that I got. But the card, when I went back for inauguration 2019, it wasn't ready. But I've not been to check it out. I trust you. It's still, this one's still valid. That's one question. The second question is, here, national insurance number, when you have it once, that's for life. You have it from 16 years old. Why can't we adopt that method?
I have two questions. One is she made mention of online self-modification service. I want to find out how soon can that one come online so that one doesn't need to go to your office for every little thing. Number two, the process. How soon can it be decentralized so that everything is not just bundled up in Abuja? I have a little experience. I needed to, my son's data had a challenge and I needed to correct that. I put a call across to the state office and they said I had to write a letter to the DG in Abuja and then DG has to approve and it will take time before that can be done. So I want to find out how soon can this process be decentralized so that state, some of these little things, state can handle it. Thank you.
How can they enable that portal to allow the use of USSD code generation, for numbers that are not necessarily Nigerian number? Thank you.
Touch on the last question that I caught a hold of. We will speak to the bank. That problem stems from the bank, so we will speak to the bank. I've noted that problem down, and we'll speak to them about how best they can just go about it without, stressing Nigerians over their NIN documentation. Especially if you have the NIN on the passport, you should be able to resolve whatever banking issues you have. I've got the director of Servicom who is on this call. Mrs. Florence Olorutade, and she will definitely take your information and then be able to liaise with the banks to resolve that issue. I also have the director of the Business Development Commercial Services who handles the diaspora area of things, Mrs. Caroline Falami. She's also on the call, alongside Dr. Peter Iwebu, who has spoken a few times to answer some questions, who is the director of CAS Management Services. I will also want to let you know that there's actually a portal that has been designed specifically for diaspora online modification, and that portal will be going live very, very soon. In fact, one of the reasons it had not gone live was because we needed some input from the Nigeria Immigration Service, but we have definitely been able to resolve that, and we're now able to go forward with that launch, and we'll be making an announcement on that launch very, very, very soon, in another couple of weeks. I'm going to hand over to Florence. Are you on the call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Yes, I'm on call, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening. So please speak to some of the questions. And also, I just want to say thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to be able to communicate and also speak to Nigerians in the diaspora and worldwide. And I really am grateful for this opportunity. And I've taken away all the key points, key salient points that have been made and feedback, and I will ensure that we're able to address those issues, and we'll also try to improve our processes on that. I'm going to hand over to Florence now. Thank you, my wonderful host, for your time. And I've seen all the comments in the comment section. I want to say thank you so much for the support and the love. There's a lot of show of love across board today, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your invitation. God bless.
The questions concerning the inability to validate your NIN and the bank refusal for the NIN on the passport, I would like to share some links where you can actually forward your complaints to, so that we can address it one by one. I don't know whether I can send it to you here or I can send it to you, sir, after the event, we go off, so that you can share with them. We also have a diaspora email where every Nigerian diaspora can send us their issues and we attend to them. That's the diasporans. Can I share? Can I send it on this platform?
On the chat forum. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll do that, sir.
Thank
so
you.
That they can send in all the requests, and I promise that we'll attend to it and then get them the feedback immediately.
Thank you so very much.
All right, sir.
Those of us who are in the diaspora here are going through when it comes to doing the registration. There is a requirement in some cases for people to provide their BVN if they do have a BVN. If you don't have your BVN number and you can't access it from the bank, are we still able to do the registration with the NI registration without the BVN? Because some centers are saying if you have a BVN, you've got to provide it. If you can't provide it, then they can't do the registration for you. How do we get around that for those who can't go to Nigeria and get their BVN? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think I will start with the last question, which is a bit touchy. And then I'd like to just apologize for the trouble that the prof is going through after serving his fatherland. What we're going to do, I would just say that if it is in Nigeria here, we do have a provision where we can do a premium enrollment, where we carry our enrollment equipment to the person's house and be able to enroll the person. What I need to know, the country where the prof currently resides, so that we can work out an arrangement and see how we can also assist him. If it's immobilized, there's nothing he can do. So that's what I can say, that at the end of this our interaction, please do drop the details with what Director Sebicon has given to you, so we can work out an arrangement and see how we can address this peculiar problem. If it is in Nigeria, it's a done deal, because we can do that easily. But since it's abroad, we need to work out an arrangement how we can get that done. Now, let me start with the first question, which has to do with an expired NIN. I think I've explained it before, that our national identification number does not expire. It is for life. Just like your social insurance you mentioned in UK, it does not expire. It is for life. We are not, therefore, the slip you showed me is not the slip. It's not the piece of paper you showed me that is valid. It is the number on that slip that it is valid. That number does not expire. It remains for life. Now, you talked about the insurance, and I think I've explained this of this card issue before, that your social security number is likened to our national identification number. And for those who have international passports, on the basis of the NIN is where they issue the card. You have a driver license, on the basis of that they issue driver license. If you don't have any of those two, we'll have an arrangement where we can issue you a card so that you can also be able to identify yourself. Now, in terms of online self-modification, the online self-modification is currently live. A relation of mine called me 2 days ago that they were going to go online to do their modification to change, I think it's their middle name or so, that they're going to make an amendment. And they went online, made the amendment, and then in a day or so, it is corrected. The self-service modification, online self-modification is working currently seamlessly in Nigeria. So please, I would, if my colleagues on the call here, our head of corporate com, if you could just flash the link so that people can know about it, so they can use it. It's working very well. You can use it. In terms of decentralization, when my DG spoke, he mentioned the fact that one of the things we're doing is to give Nigerians the power to do things on their own. They don't necessarily need to go to our office, whether state or local or national, to be able to do things on their own. And that's why this self-service modification has come in place. The letter they will ask to write for the for the DG to approve is like, in Nigeria here, some are trying to modify their age beyond 5 years. For you to chunk out 5 years out of your age is obviously a serious issue. It's not something you can just do on the fly. Those such ones are the ones that they require you to do a formal letter to the DG. It will be investigated and confirmed that there's a valid reason for that modification, and then it will be treated. I think you will agree with me that we cannot just every request, anybody that has come, you want to chalk out 20 years from your age, you do it. You want to 20 years. I don't think it's going to be good for the integrity of the data. So for those category of people, you are required to do a formal letter we investigate it, we have directors, we have CSS working with them who and they investigate and confirm that it's genuine. When it's genuine, to be affected. Now, in terms of online portal for the foreign diaspora, and I think my DJ has already addressed it, that the portal will soon go live. We're making a conclusion that will be announced, and an announcement we made to that effect so that you can also use that portal on yourself. Then he talked about card, SIMs, and the rest of them. Again, I have explained this card. The cards we are issuing today, when we do start again, it's optional. It's not compulsory for anybody. It is when you want to use its value to drive it for you to pick up this card. If you see value for there's a value for you to pick up this card, you go and pick it up. If you don't see value, if you are satisfied with having just your piece of paper, you can continue to have a piece of paper. What I want to understand is explain to you clearly that you have verification. It's not just giving the number. When you give a number, it must be validated either by your biometric is added to it. You put your biometric so that they will be sure that that number truly belongs to you, or your photo ID showing that the name, the picture, and the person standing in front of them is actual owner of the name. So therefore, those ones are required. Now, my other questions you asked about the bank, which Director Silicon has also tried to answer it, is that banks, it is wrong for the bank to ask you to go and bring a piece of paper and slim before they can treat you. What they require from you is your name. If you have provided their name, we have provided them online verification portal. They can put those your name and validate who you are. My expectation is that the bank should have used that platform to validate who you are and attend to you. But just like my director Sabicon has mentioned, send us the name, we'll engage those banks and find out what the challenge is.
Once again, thank you so much for being part of it. Always, whenever we call upon you, we appreciate your being here, and we don't take it lightly. Thank you so ever so much. I'm hoping to see you guys again next week, either Saturday or Sunday. We'll let you know in the next couple of days what day and time it's going to be and who the VVIP is going to be. Thank you ever so much, and God bless you, and have a blessed weekend. Thank you ever so much. Thanks a lot.